Good afternoon, TikTok. Hi, how are y'all? So, I am sitting in a Target parking lot somewhere in Louisiana, charging Velma, which, for those of you who do not know, Velma is my orange electric car. She gets total Velma energy. Anywho, so on my way home from my parents celebrating my mother's 21st birthday, and wasn't able to do my morning constitutional. So instead, you get this. Yay. Because you know what that means? Time for another prison story. Yeah, I got lots of them. So, I spent 2 years, two long years in county lockup, which in Louisiana is called Parish prison. Yeah, 2,000 people in the Parish prison in East Baton Rouge Parish. Yeah. And they segregate people there. At least they did when I was there 20 years ago, um, based on sexuality. So if you're gay and you're open about it, or you're transsexual and you're obviously clockable, they move you back then to the gay line, which was like the best, most ratchet episode of RuPaul's Drag Race you've ever been on. Uh, I didn't feel that way at the time because I didn't have the proper perspective to reflect on it, but I feel that way now. And at times I did feel that way. One of the reasons that I didn't feel that way at the time was that the vast majority of the people that I did time with on that line, which was called L2, were African American transsexual women, most of whom are sex workers, uh, and at least, whatever you want to call them. I don't know what to call themselves. They just call themselves hookers, prostitutes. It is what it is. And, I'll have to move this out anyway because TikTok be censoring a franklet. And these girls all knew each other, and they kind of divided themselves whether they walked on scenic highway or plank road. I always get those. It makes people laugh when I say scenic road and plank highway. But anyway, um, the girls knew each other, and occasionally murdered. I always get those. It makes people laugh when I say scenic road and plank highway. But anyway, um, the girls knew each other and, occasionally murdered each other, but hey, that's a story for a different day. Who they did not know was me. Because even though people could argue that I've been a whore, I haven't really. No, I've been paid before for things, but not like that. Hey, you got a lot of money. Bring it. No, don't. It won't work. So, I got to know these girls really well, really quickly. Because you spend in parish prison here in this situation, it's not like 23-1. You don't spend 23 hours locked down in like 1 hour where you get to like go to a yard or something. The maybe 18 of the 24 months I spent there, we didn't get to go to the yard at all. So it was like 24 hours a day stuck in this unit. And the way the unit is laid out is one big room with 10 bunks arranged in a U. So you got a bunk here, bunk here, bunk here, bunk here, bunk here, bunk here, bunk, bunk, bunk. And it makes a little U. And each bunk has two beds in it. And then the U, like that, has like a long table in front of it, long metal table, and then like a TV right here, and a toilet right here, a toilet right here, and then a bath shower right there. And the toilets are completely in the open, facing the beds. So like you're laying in your bed just trying to enjoy your prison time like a good little prisoner, and you look forward and you get to watch somebody taking a dump. So some people, when they first get there, they like take a blanket with them when they go poop, and they hold the blanket up. I got over that real quick. And um, the shower thankfully had like a curtain on it, so you'd get some privacy while you were in the shower, but that's about it. And strangely enough, there wasn't really any like arguing or fighting over the shower, which, in retrospect, I see why. But at the time, I was always confused by it. I was like, that seems like a viable resource that people would fight over, but no, they don't. At least not while I was there. Uh, so this story is actually really not about any of that. That's all context that you need to know that aside from being called Miss Frank, despite the full beard, which at the time was like that long, it's crazy. Before I got all this patchiness, it was all dark brown, and I had long hair past my shoulders. Dirty. The hair was gross. Patchiness. It was all dark brown, and I had long hair past my shoulders. Dirty. The hair was gross. But I mean, you didn't really have the facilities or the ability to wash. You definitely didn't have facilities to cut it. Like sometimes the girls would come in and they'd take the razors that they'd give you once every 2 weeks and they'd break the plastic off and use the actual razor blade to like do haircuts. And some of them were like fire good at it. But I guess being a hooker pays better. So I didn't really get to cut my hair, and I definitely did not look like what you would think of as a Miss Frank. Uh, But being there so long, I achieved this like position mm, after like 6 months or so, where I had been the longest person on the line. Like I was the stability essentially on the line. I had the shared history of the line with me, and uh, I also knew all the rules. I knew how to manipulate things, how to get what I wanted. The way we chose what we watched on TV, for instance, was that every day we'd get the local newspaper, the Baton Rouge Advocate. And then on Saturdays, that newspaper would come with a TV guide, like an actual printed TV guide. Who knew? And the first person to get it was the first person to get to choose. And you could always choose two things, two programs over the week, and the programs could be an hour, 2 hours long. Didn't It was just within reason. Like if you tried to block out 6 hours, you were going to get your head knocked. But uh, you could get two things, and then you had to pass it on to somebody else. So you had to be really religious and judicious about what you picked. And I always wanted to be first with that TV guide because I really liked watching Glee. It would take me out of the whole prison thing, and I really liked being able to watch Ugly Betty because Ugly Betty also used to take me out. And those two shows, I could never really, despite the fact that it was a gay line, you think those would have been like, but they weren't. I could not really get agreement from the other girls to just like watch those things because there were some things that were inviolate. You could not pick a program at 4 p.m. Not because of count, because this place isn't a Fed facility. They don't do 4 p.m. count. Because of the young and the fucking restless. You had to watch The Young and the Restless. None of them watch it. None of them care. They don't follow the story. They're not like watching it going, ooh, but it's a thing. They have to watch The fucking Young and the Restless at 4 p.m. And hey, who am I to judge? You get your kicks where you get your kicks. And this behavior of mine, like essentially bogarting the TV guide, like I'd get the story. They're not like watching it going, ooh, but it's a thing. They have to watch The fucking Young and the Restless at 4 p.m. And hey, who am I to judge? You get your kicks where you get your kicks. And this behavior of mine, like essentially bogarting the TV guide, like I'd get up early on Saturday mornings, make sure I was the first person awake, and then I would hang out by that door waiting for that newspaper to get slipped under and then grab it as if that gave me authority. As if it wasn't the fact that I was 6'3", 220 pounds that gave me the authority. Not that these girls are really afraid of me. They weren't. But, size does give some advantages. So after repeating this behavior over weeks and weeks and weeks, one of these girls comes in, and I think her name was Keisha. I really don't remember. And but I do remember what she said because I grabbed the newspaper and I'm sitting over my bunk, legs spread with the TV guide between them, just got my pen in my mouth, like, and I'm picking, excited, feeling good, because at this point, I still don't know how long I'm going to be in prison. I still don't know what, actual range I'm facing. I have no idea if anything of my life remains outside. I know my cat's still alive because family of friends of mine took care of him. But like, aside from that, like I, I remember sitting in that bunk thinking, I'm fat, I'm gay, I'm a drug addict, I'm a convicted felon, I'm poor, I'm ugly, and all of these things. And I just could not reconcile how I was going to get over all of that when I finally did get released. And so I just didn't think about release because, release wasn't a release. It was just a whole laundry list of problems and judgments and self hate and things that I wasn't ready to face. But Ugly Betty, Glee, that was easy. So I fought for it. And I almost always got it. And by the time I eventually, got to the position where, like, after 6 months in, I know all the routines and I'm doing everything exactly the right way to get what I want. This girl, who I believe was named Keisha, was easy. So I fought for it. And I almost always got it. And by the time I eventually, got to the position where, like, after 6 months in, I know all the routines and I'm doing everything exactly the right way to get what I want. This girl, who I believe was named Keisha, watches me hovering by the door and doesn't say anything. Then I grab the paper and I'm sitting there on my bunk, my legs spread, and marking my TV shows and pretending like I'm looking at it to try and say, well, is there something better I'd like to watch? Knowing damn well I'm just going to pick Ugly Betty and I'm just going to pick Glee. Uh, and I get done with the paper. And usually when I get done with the paper, I'd give it to Miss Vanessa. And it would kind of work both ways. Like if Miss Vanessa happened to get up before I was, she would always give the paper to me. Now, Miss Vanessa was a lot of things, but deceptive and dishonest, not really. No, she didn't have to be. She was a bad dude and a bad lady. And I don't mean bad like in the bad way. I mean like a bad bitch kind of way. Funny looking, maybe. But so was I. Why to judge? So I go to give this paper to Miss Vanessa, and Keisha is on the bunk above Miss Vanessa, which is like, here's my bunk, here's the TV, and here's Miss Vanessa and Keisha's bunk. And when I go to hand the paper to Miss Vanessa, Keisha looks down and goes, who are you? The president of the white committee? Elected on the first round. And apparently, one can only assume this is a title that has been handed down like Miss Congeniality or something. Because it stuck. It stuck hard. Anytime I would complain about something, I'd be like, I am so fucking sick of watching BET all day long. I'm tired of listening to the same fucking videos. This shit sucks. Even as in the back of my mind, I'm listening to Keisha Cole going, like, let it go. Loving it, but just mad that I didn't get to pick it. And I'd complain about shit. I'd be like, I don't want to go to fucking chow hall this late. And the girls you'd hear them in the background like, president of the white committee going off again. So that TikTok is how I was elected president of the white committee in prison. Hope you enjoyed the story. Bye.